Hi, I'm Michelle Begue with a look at what's happening in Latin America now. But first, our news trivia. What science fiction character was symbolically put on trial recently in Chile? We'll have the answer later. This week in Brazil, the first South American presidential summit in over a decade took place. It brought together the heads of state from 11 countries. The only president missing was Peru's Dina Boluarte, who's facing charges and cannot leave the country. The summit's host, Luis Ignacio Lula da Silva, called for joining forces to tackle regional development and climate change. The leaders also explored ways to boost trade and create an energy market for the region. Former El Salvador President Mauricio Funes was sentenced to 14 years in jail for allegedly providing privileges to the leaders of gangs when he was negotiating with them. Funes' former Minister of Security was sentenced to 18 years in prison. But Funes, who ruled the country from 2009 to 2014, became a citizen of Nicaragua in 2019. He's been living there for a few years and was judged and sentenced in absentia. Funes is the second president to be sentenced to jail in El Salvador. In 2018, former President Tony Saca was imprisoned for 10 years for diverting some $300 million in state funds. And now let's go to my colleague Al Baverstock, who has a special report.
Towering over central Mexico, the active volcano Popocateptl continues to erupt, sending up plumes of ash over a region home to 25 million people. As a result, Mexico's Geological Service has set a public alert, encouraging residents to remain prepared to evacuate at any moment and remain indoors during the periods of heavier ash falling from the sky. The increased volcanic activity has led to nearby schools being closed and hundreds of flights being cancelled. However, while as many as 500 eruptions a day are currently being registered, that's still preferable to none at all. As an active volcano, eruptions relieve seismic forces inside the mountain, which avoid a build-up of pressure inside El Popo, which could result in a far greater disaster.
Now let's take a look at what stories we're following for next week. The presidents of Mexico and Peru have been exchanging not-so-friendly comments on social media, as well as in interviews. Mexico's leader, Andrés Manuel López Obrador, has repeatedly derided his Peruvian counterpart, Dina Boluarte, as illegitimate. Last week, the Peruvian Congress declared López Obrador as persona non grata for his statements. The Mexican leader responded by saying he doesn't want any trade with Peru or economic ties while Boluarte is in office. Boluarte clapped back, calling him ignorant during a conversation with local media. And now the answer to our news trivia. The answer is A. Supervillain Darth Vader from the Star Wars saga was condemned in court last week in Chile. His sentence? To be frozen in perpetuity for crimes throughout the galaxy, including cutting off the hand of his movie son Luke Skywalker. It was all part of an educational mock trial to promote the work of the courts on Chilean Heritage Day. In the end, the appeals court jury in the city of Valparaíso decided to reduce the sentence. And that's it for this week. We'll see you again soon on Latin America Now.